Our life is chosen for us from the beginning. We are given the genes from our family. These genes are then passed on to us. For me, this meant I was given a faulty BRCA gene. This gene is normally responsible for protecting against breast cancer. However, if the gene has a fault, it gives a very high risk of developing breast cancer in your lifetime. My name's Wendy Watson. I'm 58 years old, and 21 years ago I was one of the first people in the UK to have a preventive double mastectomy because of my family history of breast cancer. I was born in 1955 and lived in a village called Breaston, and when I was about 7 my grandmother came to live with us, and because she was dying from ovarian cancer. And I hadn't been aware, but she'd actually had breast cancer in both breasts many years before. And then when I was 16, my mum died from breast cancer. So I went to the doctors and said, could it possibly be hereditary with mum and grandma both having it? And he said, no, there's no such thing. And in 1990 I moved to the Peak District, which is the area that my mum's family came from, and I met up with my mum's cousin's daughter, who told me that she'd had breast cancer twice, once at 32 and then again at 39. Her sister had died at 38, she had a cousin with it at 48, her mum had just developed it in her 60s, and her auntie had already had it in her 40s. So I said, did you know that's what my mum and grandma had? And she didn't. And we found that there were actually 9 relatives with the disease. So I went to the new GP in Hartington and said, please don't tell me like previous GPs that it's not hereditary, because I'll have to say I don't believe you. And he looked at the family tree that I'd drawn and he said, well, clearly this is a horrendous family history. So he agreed to check me every 3 months. And there was no mammogram available for me. I was too young and the breast tissue was too dense for a mammogram to be worth having. And so every 3 months I used to go, and I used to be quite scared, well, very scared actually. Would it be this time that he found a lump? And felt elated when I was all clear, and each time it would build up to the next 3 months, and I thought, this is balmy. I'm just waiting to develop breast cancer, then having to have an operation and hope that I've caught it in time. Why don't I have the operation now, and then I definitely know I've caught it in time? And to me that was how common sense I thought of it. I went back to the GP and he referred me to see a surgeon who agreed that if I would go to see a geneticist about this, and that's the first time geneticist was mentioned, and if the geneticist said it was the right thing for me to do, then he would do it. So he sent me off to see Dr. Gareth Evans, and I met him, and he had already drawn my family tree up, and he said that it looked like it was going to be one of the 2 genes, BRCA1 and BRCA2, that they were looking to discover at that time. He explained that if I did have a fault in BRCA1, it gave you about an 85% chance of developing breast cancer in your lifetime, but that I had a 50-50 chance of not inheriting it. And he said, you know, if you had the surgery now and then in a couple of years' time we were able to give you a genetic test, how would I feel? And I said, well, I'd just be delighted. I went into hospital on the 20th of April and I had the operation on the 21st, and when I woke up I felt the most privileged person in the world, because I was in a ward with 29 other women, all who'd had surgery for suspected cancers, and mine was just, you know, that was it, you know, 2 scars. After I'd had the operation, I decided that it would be a good thing to do to raise the profile. So I did a Channel 4 documentary called The Decision. After The Decision was aired, I was contacted by two sisters who told me that they had 3 generations of their family had all developed breast cancer in the 20s and died from it. And yet the family history clinic, well no, the breast clinic they were under, wouldn't hear of this surgery. So, you know, but they felt that it was the right thing for them to do. And she put very emotively in a letter, she said, I have a little girl of 2.5 and a little boy of 1, and the thought of yet another generation growing up without a mother has always filled me with terror.
Yeah, I wrote to Wendy, not expecting to get anything back, but I wrote her a letter just to say, you know, that because of her, I was trying to sort it out with the doctor and whatever, and she rang me the day after she got the letter, and she got in touch with Gareth Evans, who was her geneticist, and everything went much quicker after that, and she got in touch with my doctor and the surgeons in Nottingham, and she just moved mountains really to sort it out for us.
So I managed to get the 2 girls referred to Manchester, which is where I'd been. A fortnight later, I had a distressed call from Andrea saying that she'd had a letter from Nottinghamshire Health Authority. Professor Blamey had blocked their referral, the Health Authority, from paying for it. So I got a record, or a song I should say, from EMI. I recorded it myself. I sent it to WH Smith with the story of the 2 girls, and they contacted me and said, yeah, we'll have 5,000 copies. So I set up my own record company to promote it, and in order to promote it further, I held a Hereditary Breast Cancer Awareness Week and got Princess Diana on board, and her letter is on our website. Following that, Baroness Cumberledge invited me to Whitehall and asked me to set the helpline up, and that was 1996, and it's been running ever since.
Wendy Watson is my mum, and I was once the youngest woman in the country to have a double preventative mastectomy due to my family history of breast cancer. I chose to have my mastectomy when I was 24 because my cousin Helen was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was just 29 years old, and they said that she probably developed it 3 to 4 years earlier. Obviously I knew about the family history, as Mum had already discovered that 9 out of 12 women in the family had breast cancer at some point, so I was always fully aware that one day, you know, this was something that I might have to consider, but it did just come a little bit earlier than anyone anticipated. I had my genetic test when I was 22, which showed that I was a BRCA1 carrier, and at 24 I elected to have the surgery, and it's been the best thing that I've ever done. You know, it's never an easy decision to take a step like that, but I think when you've got the support and everyone around me that I had, and watching my very healthy cousin go through cancer at such a young age as well, was obviously a big decision maker in my decision process really, and I've never looked back since, and I would say definitely, you know, it was the right choice for me, and the way that we've been able to help other people and the way other people have benefited, you know, from mine and Mum's stories has been overwhelming really, and it really does give you a sort of sense of pride, I think, to know that you are helping others at the same time.
So over the last 17 years, the helplines run 24 hours a day. It started off in a small way, and it's got bigger, and you know, it has peaks and troughs whenever there's publicity about anything. Now, in order to raise the profile further than ever, I'm setting up charity shops with little information areas in where people can call in and pick up a leaflet across the UK. I've now got, I think we've got 12 open, and another 4 opening very shortly. So, but I aim to have, I'd like to get 30 open this year if I possibly could, but I'm aiming to get 60 in the next couple of years. Over the years, I think there's probably been around about 200,000 calls and emails. And there's all sorts of different stories, and people have all sorts of different needs. One of them is Tracy Child, who now runs our Chesterfield branch. She travels over an hour every day to work in one of our shops, and that's what I call dedication.
So I manage the shop in Chesterfield, which has a cafe inside it as well. So we try and encourage people to come in and chat to us, anybody that's got any concerns about hereditary breast cancer. I got details sent about the support group via a breast care nurse, and I got that just after I'd found out I was BRCA1. So straight away I got in touch with Wendy Watson. I remember speaking to her for the first time and explaining that I'd found out that I carried the faulty gene, and she's absolutely fantastic. She put me onto people that had also gone through the same thing. So she obviously has people that she spoke to over many years who've also found out that they carry the BRCA gene, and she put me in touch with local people in my area, and that's been a massive support since I found out I carried the gene up to this date now.
We hold a charity ball each year, which probably raises around about 7,000, 8,000 a time. And I think we've had 5 now, something like that. We do have other fundraising events throughout the year, which Becky organises, like she's had the hog roast most years, and different other events throughout Derbyshire.
They do some crazy things. There's parachute jumps, there's all sorts of crazy things that they do to try and raise money.
A couple of years ago, it was very exciting to get a phone call which said that I'd been nominated, and I'd got through to the last 16 of the Tesco Mum of the Year nominations, and they wanted to come out and visit me, and which they did, and I eventually was the overall winner, which I was thrilled to pieces about.
I nominated Mum for Tesco Mum of the Year. After sort of seeing it in Tesco's, actually. I saw the entry forms and I thought, well, if Mum doesn't fit these criteria, I don't know who does, really. And then we forgot about it a little bit, and then Mum rang me and said, I've just had a phone call to say I've been shortlisted for Tesco Mum of the Year, which was amazing. And again, it was, for me, whenever Mum gets recognised for things like this, I'm just so pleased, because it's making others that have a little bit of say recognising what it is that she's achieved.
After that, I wrote a book called I'm Still Standing, and which again, it was another thing to help raise the profile, and it's been very helpful for those people who have been onto the genetics trail, if you like, and they've been able to get the book, and it's made them feel a bit better about themselves. And then the icing on the cake was this last year, when I had a letter to say I'd been nominated and awarded an MBE, and so I went down to London to collect the MBE from Princess Anne, actually, and it was a really, really super couple of days.
I was so pleased that my mum's been awarded an MBE. I'm just so happy that eventually it has been recognised from high above what she has achieved and what she continues to achieve. I haven't stopped yet, though. I think she definitely needs damehood. I think that's the next thing for her, without a shadow of a doubt. And to be fair, I think, a lot of people would definitely agree with me.
I just thought it's about time somebody like who truly deserves it gets it. I think everything that Wendy's done by herself, and obviously with Becky over 20 odd years, is absolutely amazing. I think it's quite worrying that a lot of people still don't know about the BRCA gene and still don't understand the links to hereditary breast cancer. So I think for Wendy to continue doing what she's done for so long is fantastic and well deserved.
But it's really nice when somebody who's done loads of stuff to help lots of other people,
not for their own.
Yeah, not necessarily with a lot of support.
Yeah.
gets one for doing something that's helped lots of people, you know, it is well deserved. It's really great that she got it.
It was good, yeah.
I've now got a grandchild on the way. I don't know whether it's a boy or a girl, and we won't know whether it'll have the gene fault or not. And it will be up to the baby, or well, it won't be a baby when it decides, but it'll be up to the child when he or she grows up as to whether they want to be tested or not, to see if they've inherited the same fault that both Becky and I have. And of course, if Becky's baby doesn't carry the fault, that's the end of the line with us. So there will be no more gene fault through our line. So, you know, that's how it works. So we'll see what happens.
It was always a question that was asked me about children. How would I feel about having children, knowing that I'm a gene carrier? How would I handle it with my own children? Now that I am pregnant, I don't know if I'm having a boy or a girl, but if I do have a girl, and if I have a boy as well, which they will have to know about because obviously boys can carry it, I just hope that I can be as good as my mum was with me.
I don't think the helpline, the need for the helpline will ever go away. It doesn't matter if it becomes quite a commonplace thing. It's
still scary.
It's a scary thing, and you need to talk to somebody, and that it's there, and it's, you know, there's some fabulous people on there who will, you know, answer all your questions. It's fantastic, and you know, they're going to find more and more genes, and I suppose there'll be more and more people who it affects.
Oh, it'll get
because I think they're supposedly on the cusp of finding another one, aren't they? So. You know, I suppose it will affect more and more people. So I imagine the demand for it will grow, actually.
Everybody hopes that there will be a cure. Everybody hopes for that. Everybody hopes that there'll be a way that they can just eradicate the gene, full stop. But until then, I just hope that we can continue what we're doing. We can continue it on a bigger scale.
Just to expand, just to get the charity shops into more cities, and just to continue raising awareness. I think, obviously, I mean, I do quite a few fundraising events as well, so I think to keep the money coming in to keep the helpline going, and also to keep the charity shops opening. So it's just to raise awareness more than anything.
I hope in the future that there are more genes, the other genes that do predispose to breast cancer, I'm hoping that they are discovered so that it makes testing much easier. And also that gene therapy becomes a possibility. But in the meantime, we have to deal with what is now. So I always give people the hope that there are options, face it, and you'll be able to get on with your lives.
The advice I'd give to people is just to look into your family history, get the information together, and if in any doubt, just go to your GP, ask to see a genetic counsellor who'll look into put all your family history together, and then offer you the options that are available. So preventative surgery is not for everybody, but just to be screened and closely monitored can help you in the future.
Well, I would say get in touch with the helpline.
Yeah,
You know.
if you've got any questions, get in touch with the helpline.
Yeah, because
Some people don't want to talk though, it's up to you. If you want to ask somebody, if you want to talk to somebody about it, if you've got questions that you don't feel you can ask your doctor, then that's what she's there for.
Any bit of advice for anybody that's worried about having a family history of breast cancer, I would tell them to give us a call. We're always available. You know, we're always returning calls or emails. We're on Facebook. There are so many people out there talking, and don't bottle it up. Don't let it rule you. Don't let it worry you, because that's even worse. Talk about it. There are going to be people out there that have been through the same situation as you, and they're there to help you. We're all there to help you. Just don't let it dominate you. And if you've got any worries at all, then give us a call. And if you've got a family history, you think there's a family history, then go to see your GP. You know, you're never ever bothering them. It's what they're there for. Any kind of fear at all.
If I had to offer advice to anybody, it would be talk to other people, get in touch, get onto the helpline, get in touch with, involved with the support groups, and get a feel for it first with people who've been there and, you know, and done the genetic testing thing, or whether they couldn't have a test, or whether they've chosen to have surgery or not chosen to have surgery. That doesn't matter, but get yourself involved with people who are understanding of the issues, because otherwise it feels that you're very isolated. Even if you're with the doctors and so on, nothing quite like being able to talk to somebody who's been through the whole process. So that's what I would advise people to do your research, and so that you can make your own mind up and you know definitely what you want to do. We all hope for a cure to help our children, our grandchildren and future generations to come. My granddaughter is now here. I can only hope that with more research and awareness there will be hope for the future for my family and others.